Good morning, Chair Hasid and members of the board. We are now live and recording.
Great, thank you so much, Santiago. Good morning, everyone. It is August 21st, it is 10:01 a.m. and I am now calling this meeting of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board to order. We'll first go through the roll. Board Member Broad.
Present.
Board Member Flores.
Present.
Board Member Hall.
Present.
Board Member Lightstone.
Present.
Thank you. All board members present. Also present today, we have our ALRB Executive Secretary, Mr. Santiago Avila Gomez, as well as Satya, who are both providing technical support. First, I will go into the first agenda item, which is to approve the most recent meeting minutes from August 7th. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Board Member Broad. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Board Member Flores. Board Member Hall. We'll go through votes. Board Member Hall.
Yes, aye.
Board Member Lightstone.
Aye.
Aye as well. The meeting minutes from August 7th are approved. Our next agenda item is the chair's report, and I have a few items to share today. First, as many of you know, August is a very busy month in the agricultural industry, and that reflects here at the board. And we have several commemorations that we wish to acknowledge. So the first is August 26th, since 2022 has been officially designated as California's Farm Worker Appreciation Day. And we are proud to celebrate the farm workers of our state for all that they do to support our food system that feeds not only the people of California, but also the world. And also honor the hard work that our farm workers do every day up and down the state year round, knowing that this is one of the busiest harvest seasons, times for many commodities, as well as in some of the most challenging conditions given the weather, as well as wildfires. It is also, this is the last meeting we will have before the annual commemoration of Labor Day, which is on September 2nd, which also honors these workers. I do want to note that this recognition comes this year at a kind of a sad time, or a passing. Last week, former legislator and LA City Council member, among other roles, Richard Alatorre passed away at the age of 81. He holds a particularly special place in the history of the Agricultural Labor Relations Act and of the board, as he is one of the 4 authors that helped shepherd the legislation in 1975 that established the act, a landmark law that is still very cutting edge. We were the first state, and I think the only state that's really stood up an entire agency to support the organizational rights of farm workers, like so many other workers across the country have. And it's one of the most progressive acts in terms of labor relations. So want to acknowledge that and send our condolences to family and all the people that have worked with him over the years. Also want to note a bittersweet transition that we have here. Our Chief of Administrative Services, Brian Doherty, has shared that he is heading to another state agency after 4 years of service with the board. Brian, I want to thank you for all your service, for the support that you've given your team as well as our agency. Brian started and then swiftly had to transition 6 offices of 60 people or so into 60 remote offices, which for a small agency with an IT department, 1 deep, is a huge task. And he did so supporting us through the challenges of the pandemic, making sure our offices were safe, dealing with quarantining, helping us through navigating the hybrid work process, helping us secure space in a new building, going through at least 2 office renovations, and I think one or two office moves. It's hard to remember. But helping us get new space, helping us work out issues with our phone system, helping us shepherd getting a new website. So many things, helping with our hiring, hiring a really great team that works really well and makes it all look pretty seamless. And Brian, it's just been a pleasure to work with you and have you be such a steady hand. And so I want to thank you. Congratulations on this next chapter for you, and just want to acknowledge all the work you've done with the board. So thank you. With that, I'll pause. Do any of my other colleagues have comments or questions?
I would just second your comments about Brian. Boy, it's been great, and good luck on your next endeavor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure working for the board. I am leaving you in good hands. I have a wonderful admin team that does a lot of the heavy lifting and makes me look good on my end. So I'm confident that it will be a very smooth transition while you look for my replacement.
Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate all your work. Next, that concludes the chair's report. Our next agenda item is the executive secretary's report on unfair labor practices, complaints, and elections. Santiago.
Thank you, and good morning again, Chair and members of the board. Today's report is a bit of a catch-up written report for matters that I previously had mentioned orally at prior meetings. And the report is also found at our usual location on the website, and the meetings tab, you can find it there and download it. As I said, it's a catch up, so we'll see on the report the two complaints that I previously reported on, which are Norman's Nursery Inc. and Foley Family Farms. Administrative orders 22 through and including 26 are also listed. 26 has happened since we last met, and that is Admin Order 2024-26 and DMB Packing Corp. doing business as the Damari Company. And there was an order granting in part and denying in part regional director's motion to seal that issued on August 9th. The case number is 2023 RM001 VIS. And then concluding the report are the pending matters. One pending before the board, DMB Packing Corp. Again, the Damari Company. There was a ALJ decision that issued on March 18th, exceptions on April 8th, and replies on April 29th. And then Hosai Guy Farms Inc. 2024 RM003 is not technically pending before the board, but I wanted to mention it as exceptions were due yesterday. None were received, so pursuant to board regulation 20370 subdivision I, that decision is now adopted as the board's decision. That concludes my report. Any questions I'm happy to field at this time.
Great, thank you so much, Santiago. I don't believe there are any questions. We'll go on to our next agenda item, which is the litigation report with our Chief Board Counsel, Todd Ratchin. Todd?
Hi, good morning. Just a couple things to report. In the Synagro Farms matter in the second appellate district, case number B322632, previously reported that the court denied the employer's petition for writ of review on July 30th. The deadline for a petition for review in the Supreme Court was due on August 9th, and no petition was filed. So that litigation now is concluded and pending the board's release of the matter for compliance. In the wonderful nurseries litigation in Kern County, case number BCV2410169, the board and United Farm Workers have their demurs scheduled for hearing on Friday, August 23rd at 8:30 a.m. The board and union's applications to stay the preliminary injunction are also scheduled for hearing on August 27th. And both the union and the board have filed appeals to the court's order granting the preliminary injunction, but it doesn't look like any case information from the appellate court is available on those yet. So I will report on those when we have those. And that is the litigation update for today.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you for all your work with some of these litigation matters. I know you've been fielding many tasks and questions and going through briefing on a pretty rapid schedule, so appreciate that. Also just want to note on Senate Growth, the board anticipates releasing that for compliance to the region, and we'll be eager to hear updates given that is a case with novel issues, including the first assessment of civil penalties under the labor code section giving regarding penalties for misclassification, and also given the age of that case, just we'll be eager to see the provisions of the board's order fulfilled. So please keep us updated. Moving on, we have the general counsel's report with our general counsel, Julie Montgomery. Julie.
Good morning, everyone. I don't have any settlements to report today, but I have some outreach activities that our staff have been working on that I will just briefly highlight. And I don't know if any of these were discussed at past board meetings that I did not attend, but I think the last one I was at was about a month ago. So we have staff providing office hours at community-based organizations, including CAUSE, MyCop, and Poder Popular as usual. And so we're continuing to provide services to more outlying areas. We provided a virtual presentation to community-based organizations, or the community-based organization Líderes Campesinas in Riverside County on July 16th on training for interns at the UC Santa Barbara Labor Center. And in fact, the board chair and I were also involved in that meeting and training, and it was great to just see the level of enthusiasm of the interns and the next generation of advocates that are coming up and coming. On July 19th, our staff did a pop-up outreach at the US-Mexico border in Calexico, which is in Imperial County. Our staff distributed materials and gave an overview of the ALRB at a labor rights workshop hosted by the North Valley Labor Federation in Santanella and Merced County on July 21st. We distributed materials at a resource fair in Winton in Merced County that was sponsored by Assemblywoman Soria and also hosted by the Central Valley Opportunity Center. And we're having more of a presence in that northern to middle Central Valley area, which I'm happy to see. Our staff was interviewed on a radio show, Que Buena Radio, that broadcast to Bakersfield and surrounding Kern County areas. That was in late July. And they also did outreach at a festival in Tulare County called Mi Tierra, which celebrated the diversity of the Central Valley farm worker communities and was hosted by the Central Valley Empowerment Alliance and California Arts Council. So they did a little announcement / presentation, brief presentation about the ALRB and distributed materials there. Also, our staff in Region 1 did an outreach event in Santa Barbara County for in Nipomo, which is near Santa Maria, and it was held by Buenaventura Ranch with the Santa Barbara County Farm Worker Resource Program, and the event was on the ranch, and over 300 farm workers attended. And our regional director reported that she was really happy that we were invited, and that our attorney in Santa Maria, Yesenia Pulido, has been working on building a relationship with them. So it was really good to make that connection. And our staff reported that it was a successful event. and the workers were able to attend right after work because it was on the employer's property, so it was convenient for them. And then we just had people have been out tabling, distributing materials at a large array of events. And there's been other labor rights workshops and presentations to different nonprofits in the area, in our various areas throughout the state. And we also did a radio interview in Santa Clara County about in a program called Encuentro Latino. And there's a lot of other events, but it's too much for right here. But just to say that the staff is out there letting people know who we are and informing workers about their rights, training community-based organizations, and really trying to expand our network so that we can provide better services and let more people know who we are. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you so much. Can you share the name of the farm that hosted the event with the Santa Barbara Mobile Farm Worker Resources Center?
Yeah, it was Buenaventura Ranch.
And what was the nature of the event? Was it just like a resource fair, or what was the topic, or what? Yeah.
Jessica, do you want to give a little more information about the substance?
Sure. Yes, it was a resource fair that the Farm Worker Resource Program coordinated together with the employer. So there are various state agencies and local county groups that were available for workers to gather information. They had raffles, exciting raffles, I heard, and food for the workers as well.
That's so great. What commodity do they have? Do you know?
It's berries. It's part of the larger Good Farms employer who has strawberries throughout the region from Salinas down here to Oxnard.
Okay, wow, great. Well, that's really wonderful. And love to see that that collaboration. So awesome. I hope we got some good photos if possible.
On that. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you, Julie, and the Regions for your work. Next we have Brian with his final for now Division of Administrative Services report for us.
Morning, Chair. Got just a couple of brief updates on the Administrative Services report. We have successfully closed our books for fiscal year 23-24 and have filed our year-end financial statements. We closed our overall budget for last fiscal year was $14.8 million, and we closed the books with a $1.6 million surplus, which is reflective of the expenditure purchasing freezes that were in place through the administration for the final 4 months of the fiscal year. So we expended approximately 89% of our overall appropriation for last fiscal year. We are also currently working on 2 of the budget ledgers that have been issued by the Department of Finance, specifically as it relates to reductions tied to the government efficiency reductions that were included in the proposed in the final budget act for all state agency, as well as submittal of a vacancy savings and a position elimination drill budget letter that was issued at the end of July. So we're in process of working closely with the executive staff here at ALRB to kind of complete and put together proposals to meet those reduction targets as required by the administration. So with that, happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
No questions for me, but thank you so much. Appreciate that. And yeah, we will miss you. Okay, next, the next agenda item is legislation. We don't have a legislative update. And I believe the regulations update is going to be deferred until probably the next meeting. Is that correct? Okay. Our next agenda item then is public comment. For those who wish to make a public comment, you may do so by one of several ways. You can use the raise hand feature or send a note in the chat. Note, those messages in the chat only go to Santiago, so please don't include any substantive comments, as they will not be made part of the record. Please share your name and organization if applicable, and note that the board cannot discuss or comment on any pending adjudicative matters, or any case matters. And with that, I will turn it over to, and also we ask that you keep your device on mute when you are not speaking, just so we can have good audio. Santiago, is there anyone in the queue that wishes to make a public comment?
Yes, Mr. Little has his hand raised, and I'll ask him to go ahead and unmute and begin.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Santiago, and thank you, Chair Hassan and members of the board and the ALRB staff. I appreciate the opportunity. I don't necessarily have a comment as much as a question. There were several board meetings in a row where the matter of the pending representation proceedings with Vieira Agricultural Enterprises appeared on the closed session board docket. And on this meeting, it does not appear on the closed session board docket. I beg forgiveness at the outset from Santiago. I emailed him about that, asking what happened there. He did respond to me, but maybe I'm too dumb to understand the response or understand the context of the response. So I was hoping somebody could perhaps help me understand what the disposition of that matter was, or how I can learn what the disposition of that matter was, and ask a related question, and that is your report this morning, Santiago. I was wondering when you expect that it would be available, the written version of that would be available on the website. And with that, I'll lower my hand and mute. Thank you.
I'll ask, and I can't see everyone on the screen, but if either our Chief Board Counsel, Todd Ratchin, or Santiago want to comment to explain the disposition of that matter, just the procedural actions.
I can take a stab at it. Unfortunately,
Thank
sorry,
you.
Brian, I can look up more specific information, but the employer's objections to the majority support certification in that matter were dismissed. And so the RM case became final.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Brian. Sorry, that I'm looking at the email, and the process with majority support petitions is once the ballot tally report comes in and a majority support has been shown, certification issues at that time, and objections were filed, and as Chief Board Counsel Direction explained, those were dismissed, and there was no motion for rehearing, so the matter is final and no longer pending before the board. Separately, regarding the executive officer's report, that is available on our website. It may be that you need to refresh or delete the cache in order to see it, but if you go to our website and go to the meetings tab, you can find it there.
Thank you very much.
I'll also add on, Brian, the order is numbered 2024-25. And it's available on our website under the administrative orders page.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Santiago, do we have anyone else with a comment or question?
Not seeing any emails or chats or any hands up at this time.
Okay, we'll give a moment. Okay, not seeing anyone, the board will now gavel into closed session. It is 10:25. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Morning.
Excuse me, and good morning. It is 11:38 a.m. and the board has returned from closed session. Our next agenda item is announcements. The next board meeting will be Wednesday, September 4th. at 10 a.m. Here in Sacramento and with a Zoom option available. All right, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.